Meanwhile, let's talk about the automotive sector because Maruti's all-new hatchback, the Alto K10, is back. It's back with a bang. The new zippy car has a 1-litre engine. It's going to give an average of 24.9 kilometers a litre. That's what we're hearing. The management remains rather confident that this new car is going to be liked by customers, and it is possibly going to heat up the entry-level segment, something that Maruti is known for. We had a word with Shashank Srivastav. He, of course, is the Senior Executive Director of Sales and Marketing over at Maruti Suzuki. This is what he said to us.
And let me give you some statistics to give you the perspective, different perspective. One is the SUV market, no doubt, has been growing. It's about 40% of the market. This hatch segment is about 38% of the market, not very different from the volumes that you see in the SUV. So last year, for example, the hatch segment was about 11,52,000 vehicles. Maruti Suzuki sold 788,000 of them, so we had almost a 70% market share there. So that's a pretty large segment to operate in. So that's one. Second, if you see the top 4 vehicles in the industry have always been hatches. So that's another thing. Even today, the top 4 vehicles are there. Third thing, Alto, as we pointed out in our presentation today, 16 consecutive years it was number 1. Today, even today, when its sale 21-22 was 1,46,000, the sale is higher than any SUV in the industry. So that speaks volumes about the importance of this segment, statistically speaking.
So you're already offering Alto 800 as well, and this is Alto K10. So do you feel there will be a clash as far as the consumer preference is concerned? And any plans of discontinuing Alto 800 and growing K10 as a bigger brand in comparison to 800?
So at the moment, of course, we have said that Alto 800 and K10 both will be sold together. And there is a difference because one is a 800cc and this is a different powertrain. So this is a 1000cc engine. So I think both will coexist and the demand for both will be there because remember that Alto 800 starts around 3.4 lakh or so. This starts at 3.9 lakh. It's a bigger engine, more modern design and maybe a lot of more features. So, but both will coexist.
Both these cars will coexist. Well, that's management speak from Maruti's side. Now, let's hear it from the expert. Sergius Barretto is managing editor at Autocar India, and he's joining us on India Tonight. Welcome, Sergius. Good to have you on the show. You know, at a starting price of just under 4 lakhs, I'm wondering if this car has what it takes to move the small car segment this festive season. The segment and the car itself is really so core to Maruti's DNA, isn't it? And Maruti's lost market share. I'm wondering if this car can actually help them get it back.
Yeah, Vikram, you're right. This car is core to Maruti's sort of DNA. Everyone knows the Maruti 800, the Maruti Alto. It's still a large player, and to your second point, can it help them bring back volumes? You have to remember, though, one thing is that Maruti lost volumes to SUVs because, they've been rather slow in responding to this SUV sort of trend. Now they are correcting that. As we know, there are a couple of SUVs lined up already, 4 or 5 very in rapid succession. But the hatchback segment is still quite large. It's about 38 to 40% still. So this is territory that Maruti needs to sort of, guard. It's turf for them that they can't let go of, because if they do let go of it, their market share would only sort of drop. So more than, I would say, gaining market share for them, it's more they've got to protect the turf just to maintain that level, in the industry.
Protecting that turf is very crucial for them. So what's your take on this newly launched Alto K10, Sergius? Kitna deti hai is, of course, that recurring question on the automotive landscape of India.
True.
But it's much more significantly heard in this particular segment, the small car segment. Yes. So how does the K10 do on that count? In fact, tell us what you like about it and what you don't like about it.
Right. So, I've yet to see the car physically to review it. As you know, at Autocar, we do review all of the cars thoroughly, put them through the paces. But I think looking at it right now, initial impressions, as far as, efficiency, like you said, kitna dete hai, it's a big question, certainly in the segment. What Maruti have done, and what I really appreciate, is that they have sort of given this car, the latest in technology as far as fuel injection systems goes. So you have a dual jet technology, what they call. Essentially, it's 2 injectors for each cylinder. So there's, more precise fuel metering, and there's better air and fuel sort of mixing. So you get better fuel efficiency. The engine is able to burn the fuel more efficiently. And that's something that you see only on higher end cars, 2 injectors per cylinder. So that's something really nice to see Maruti using in what is effectively an entry-level hatchback today, a sub sort of 5 lakh rupee car. So that's something I really appreciate. Thing that I don't appreciate, I'm going to have to really check the car out, because like I said, we haven't seen it, unfortunately. I was not able to attend the launch in Delhi today, but we will be reviewing it actually very soon. So, yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to that review, Sergius. But what's the profile now of the Alto buyer as you see it today? That particular customer profile that is looking for such a car, how is it different from the time that the first Alto actually came into the Indian market, which I think was at the turn of the century? It was in 2000. And we're talking 22 years ago. Surely tastes have changed. And it's not like the old Alto 800 has gone out of style. They are still keeping that on the line alongside the K10. So tell me what you think has really changed for this buyer.
So I think for this buyer, the buyer today, even if he's an entry-level buyer, he wants all of the features. And, what we are seeing today is a lot of that in every segment, actually, including the entry level. Consumers today, everyone is so used to a smartphone. I mean, it's no longer like a luxury. Everyone has a smartphone. So you automatically want that sort of touch screen and that same experience, Android Auto, connected tech in your car, whether it's entry level or top end, doesn't really matter. And that is what I think where the consumer has changed. They are looking more for features, looking more for technology, and actually power and engine CC even has kind of taken a step down. It's still a major point, but it's no longer the topmost point. I remember people would buy cars, by saying, I bought a 1 liter car, or I bought the 1.2 liter car. Today, you don't hear that kind of talk with buyers anymore. They're not talking about the car with respect to the engine. So that's really been the shift, if you see, for me, with buyers.
And Sergius, what about the competitive landscape for the K10? There is the Renault Kwid. Price-wise, the K10 overlaps with Maruti's own Espresso. And the OG, the Alto 800. The Nano, of course, went out of favor some time ago. So do you see the small car competitive scenario changing much, especially on an EV surge, whenever that happens?
So EVs will be some time away for this segment, to bring them down and, to be price effective, cost effective, will take some time. The competitive landscape, yes, as you correctly said, it's just the Renault Kwid, apart from their own, Espresso. And really, this is where an example of how Maruti, kind of just locked out that segment with their really brutal cost control. They made it really impossible for people to enter or survive in this arena. People have tried. Tata, Hyundai, you've had, who've made serious attempts here. But as we've seen, they've really got a lock on this segment. So really, the competition will come from the Kwid. And to be very frank, even there, it would be a one-sided fight. The Kwid kind of figures maybe in the top 30, whereas the Alto last year was the 4th largest selling car in India. So, you can judge from that it's going to be a sort of lopsided fight, maybe, as far as volumes go.
Like we said, it's the volumes game that Maruti is so well known for, and perhaps this one may be the game changer. We'll have to see festive season demand and sales to really understand how it goes. And of course, we are watching out for your review as well. Sergius, thanks very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and we hope to have you more often on the show.
Thanks, Vikram. Same here. Bye-bye.
Cheers.